Good afternoon, everyone. On the behalf of SIGN, which is the Society for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, we welcome you today for this big awareness session. Now, we're lucky here to have our big associate partners, the two very capable incubators in the IIT from the IIT Madras ecosystem, the IIT Madras Bioincubator and the Healthcare Technology Innovation Center, or HTIC. We are also grateful for the Bangalore Bioinnovation Center and Aspire Bionest, who are associated with the University of Hyderabad, for joining us today as our big associate partners. From our ecosystem, we are lucky to have the Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute for Medical Sciences and Technology, their incubator, also known as TIMED in short. And we have Tanuvas, which is a veterinary science incubator, again, from Madras. And we also have the Sri Ramachandra Innovation Incubation Center joining us for the first time. So thank you all for joining, agreeing to collaborate with us for this session. So the agenda for this session is that the current big call, which is in its 20th cycle, is open and it will close on 15th of February. And we want to reach out to as many entrepreneurs as we can so that they have the ability to apply within the close date and can avail of this grant. Now, we, through this session, will provide you with a brief overview of this grant, its scope and reach, and give you some pointers as to how to write this grant better and what to keep in mind when you're writing this grant. We are also lucky to have our in-house mentor with us today, Mr. Parthasarathi Ponguri, who with his 40 years of experience in the health tech domain and having served on both as an online reviewer as well as on the TP panel of BIG, will share with us some of his insights on how to write a better grant and what catches the eye of the reviewer and what helps them score a proposal better. He'll give us some insights into that as well. So towards the end of the session, we'll open it up to direct an interactive Q&A session where y'all can ask your questions directly and live. Besides that, you can, if you have a question or your sound quality is poor, please feel free to post your questions in the Q&A box as well, and we can take it from there. Today from the SIGN big team, we have Dr. Pranita, and she has handled this this grant scheme for several cycles and is quite experienced. And of course, I'm also going to join her, and we'll resolve some of the issues that you might have. Any unresolved queries, you can always write to us and we'll get it resolved for you. As a part of this session, I would like to introduce some of our collaborating incubators today. I already mentioned the two very capable incubators in the IIT Madras ecosystem. We have Healthcare Technology Innovation Center, or HTIC. Now, they have a very rich collaboration of researchers, faculty members, doctors, engineers and entrepreneurs. Of course, they have access, they can provide you with access to IIT Madras faculty as well. They have created a huge impact ever since their establishment in 2012 and is one of the premier healthcare technological incubation centers in the country. And they already have 4 technologies in the market, and for this session, it is key to note that they have a very good mentoring group that can help you prepare your big proposal as well. As an associate partner, they can provide you with mentoring support. For any other information on the HTIC Incubation Center, kindly visit their website and look at the portfolio of companies that they've supported. Next, we have the IIT Madras Bioincubator. Again, they provide not only a whole range of facilities for their incubated companies, but they also provide other infrastructural support such as office space. And they also, again, provide excellent mentorship and can guide you through the big process as well as an associate partner. Besides that, they can provide you, introduce you to their network of legal help, accounting, and other service providers. They are, again, a sector agnostic bioincubator, and they cover almost all areas of industrial biotechnology, healthcare, diagnostics, bioinformatics, and so on. They have currently 22 startups under their wing, and they are emerging as a strong player in the South. So please contact both of these incubators should you need to incubate with them or you need help preparing your big application. We also thank the Bangalore Bioinnovation Center for being here with us today. Again, the key areas that they focus on, they are, of course, a joint initiative of the Government of Karnataka and the Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. Their key focus areas are healthcare, food, nutrition, agricultural biotechnology, and environmental biotechnology, some of the key focus areas of this grant as well. And besides infrastructural support, they can help you with every aspect of your startup, as well as mentor you through this grant application. Next, we have Aspire Bionest, which is associated with the University of Hyderabad, again, the best emerging bioincubator for 2021. Their focus areas overlap with BIG as well. They can support you if your proposal covers agriculture, industrial biotech, healthcare, or biopharma, or any aspect of life sciences. They have access to state-of-the-art research facilities, R&D facilities, and they can also provide you with animal and microbial cell culture labs, storage units, and of course, mentoring for big and other proposals. Next is the Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute for Medical Sciences and Technology, or TIMED as we know them as. And they are also supported by a host of government programs that you can avail of to develop your prototype. They have very good lab facilities and prototyping facilities. They're actively supported by NIDHI and NIDHI Prayas, and have well-equipped laboratories where you can develop or at least do pre-big work if you're interested. They can provide you guidance also on medical device regulatory guidance, how to write your patents, provide you access to clean room facilities, and so on. And through all of these incubators and associate partners today, Scion has receives very good applications every year, and we try to help those applicants achieve their goals in landing this grant. So we thank our participating incubators again. Please visit their websites to understand what all facilities you can avail by accessing their network. Also, please reach out to them as your big associate partner and get the mentoring and other help that you might require with your proposal. We are very lucky today as our ecosystem partner to have the Veterinary Incubation Foundation at Thanuvas as our partner. So if your project deals with animal sciences, dairy, and other aspects, they are the incubator for you, because they can provide you with their farm facilities, very updated and outstanding clinical facility where you can successfully execute your big project should it fall under this area of focus. And currently they are supporting about 21 startups. Please visit their website to know more about Thanuvas. Today, we are lucky to have with us for the first time the Sri Ramchandra Bionest and Bioincubator. Again, they provide a lot of help for healthcare, health tech domain startups, because they provide GLP certified small animal testing labs, clinical trial facilities, which is very critical for most of you who are working on healthcare innovations. So their infrastructure is state of the art, and they also have can provide you access to hospitals, hospital facilities within their campus. Also, besides that, mentorship is something they can help you with as well. So the reason that we are covering incubators and in such detail is when you are applying for this grant, the Biotechnology Ignition Grant, there are two entities that are very critical for you when you're applying. You have to, as part of this grant, identify an incubator An incubator is where you will carry out the work that you've envisioned for this project. And the incubator is entrusted with providing the infrastructure and access to its network, as well as handhold you throughout the process of company incorporation and launching your startup. Now, the other critical entity that you should be aware of is your big partner. Today, Sign comes to you not only as an incubator, but also as a big partner. There are 8 such big partners across the country. And by applying through Sign or through the other big partners, you can leverage, you can be associated with them, and you can leverage their network as well, even if you're not physically, even if you're not incubated with them. Now, what is the role of a big partner, and what you should give this strong consideration when you're selecting a big partner, because a big partner will help you from the initiation of your idea to preparing your proposal properly, take you through the process of application, and help you at every stage of evaluation. Now, once you're a successful grantee, the role of the big partner becomes even more important, because we will carry out the due diligence, required due diligence for your company. We'll monitor your progress and will be responsible for releasing the funds to you. And like I pointed out earlier, even if you're not incubated with us, you can access our network by choosing us as your big partner. Now, Sign, as I mentioned earlier, is both an incubator and a big partner. And just to give you a brief about Sign, since 2004, we have aimed to serve not only our academic community within the IIT Bombay campus, but those outside the walls. It's also now we are mostly focused on deep tech technologies that have economic, social, and strategic value. So Sign as an incubator takes kind of melds 2 ecosystems together. One is our internal entrepreneurial ecosystem with our licensing and tech transfer office, our schools of entrepreneurship, a very applied research groups such as BETIC, WRCB, and so on. And we meld this to our external ecosystem that comprises of our investors, our industry connects, designers, manufacturers, other service providers, as well as startup associations and international connects. This brings our incubatees the best of both worlds. Now, if you wish to incubate with Sign, we can provide you a start to end support. When your idea is, when you are still at the ideation phase and you're developing your prototype, we can help you with a through our pre-incubation program. We can provide you access to small quantum of funds that will help you at least establish a proof of principle or basically launch your idea, take it off the ground. Once you have established your proof of concept, you then can be considered for a 3-year incubation period. Now, this incubation can both be physical or virtual, depending on your location and your need. Whether it's physical or virtual, you get the same support from us. Only the rental and other structures might differ. As your product gets closer to market, you can access our accelerator programs as well. And Plugin is one such example. And if you're associated with us through our different boot camps, workshops, etc., we try to educate you and bring you up to speed with the tools that will help you succeed. As our incubatee, you will also get visibility through our industry showcases, through our investor showcases, and we help you get follow-on grants and access to angels, VCs, and so on. Besides that, we also provide infrastructure in the form of plug-and-play offices and access to different labs to develop your prototype. Like I mentioned, we have we are a BioNest supported incubator, so we have a very well-equipped biolab facility, as well as an electronics and prototyping facility and a metalworking facility as well. Now, even if you're not incubated with us, you can access these facilities and the charges, etc. You can visit our website and go over that as well. Now, what do we offer you as a big partner? Like I mentioned before, when you select a Sign as your big partner, you get access to our network, whether you're incubated with us or not. Besides that, we provide you mentoring through the grant writing process. you will have access to any of the R&D, etc. facilities that we have. We can provide you access with on campus as well as in our laboratories. Besides that, you also get an access to past grantees. So SIGN thus far has supported almost 35 big grantees, some of whom have been incubated in other incubators, but have selected us as big partners. And access to past grantees also helps you share that journey and benefit from peer-to-peer learning. Also, you will have full access to our network and legal help, and this will help you a lot, especially since BIG is there to support early start innovators. Now, just to also mention here that BIRAC, if you're in the biotech domain, BIRAC, BIG is of course the first and the biggest ideation to POC grant, but it doesn't stop there. BIRAC has different grants for every stage of a product's development, and you can look up the details on the BIRAC website. Please visit the BIRAC website. Depending upon what stage your innovation is, you can look up a suitable grant for you. And for the sake of time, we are not going into the details, but if you have any questions regarding any of the BIRAC grants, please contact us. For the faculty in the audience today, PACE is also another very good option for you to take your idea to establish, after establishing a proof of principle, if you're looking for funds to establish a proof of concept with the help of an industry partner, or with the consultation of an industry partner, that might be a good grant for you. So please write to us and visit the BIRAC website for more details. Now, understanding the technology readiness level of your innovation is key for you to select a grant. Today, since we are focusing on the Biotechnology Ignition Grant, which is an early stage grant, you have to note that your TRL should begin from somewhere around 2, and at the end of the 18 months will reach somewhere between 4 to 5. Please note that no field test for product or validation can be achieved through this grant. It's just for 18 months and limited funds of 50 lakhs. So only up to the preclinical trial can be supported through this grant. Now, if you have any questions about the technology readiness level of your innovation, because this is very specific for specific domains, if you need clarity on that, you can always contact us and we can help you select the right BIRAC grant for you. The Biotechnology Ignition Grant is a flagship program provided by BIRAC. It basically provides you with grant support, a grant in aid of about 50 lakhs for a period of 18 months. Now, anybody can apply for this grant, provided from any background, provided they have a completed undergraduate degree behind them. Now, it is both startups and individuals can apply. The whole purpose of this grant is to encourage startups and researchers to take their technology closer to market. So commercialization is the most important or the key word here. Now, this is for you to take your idea to the proof of concept stage. And so thus far, there's been about this is the 20th cycle of BIG, and the 19th cycle is currently completing the evaluation process. Now, by any metric of evaluation, BIG has had a huge impact. It has created over 200 fresh IPs and generated more than 800 employment and raised over 250 crores. So this is a very good grant for you to take for the initial stage innovator to take their ideas to the proof of concept stage. So it gets your foot through the door. It gives you visibility on a national scale. So please consider this if you have an idea that's interesting and of course under biotech. Now, what themes are supported? We get a lot of questions regarding this. Again, if it is unclear as to which scheme is the right fit for you, you can contact us and we can help you with that. You can contact any big associate partner close to you as well, and they can help you with the same. So the 5 major categories are basically medtech. Medtech covers medical devices, diagnostics, biopharma, therapeutics, and so on. We also have agriculture, which covers both secondary agriculture and veterinary science. Next, we have industrial biotech, and under in industrial biotech and environment tech, and under this you have clean energy, sanitation, waste management, and so on. Now, if you have a software solution, for instance, that serves any of these categories, you can apply as well. Now, the eligibility, as I mentioned before, both individuals and companies can apply. Now, the eligibility slightly varies, and the proof in the form of documents that is sought from each category again differs. If you are in, if you do not, if you're not a stakeholder in any company, or you just, or you have no company, or you're not a shareholder in any company, you can apply as an individual. In both cases, the PIs, whether you're applying in the individual or company category, have to provide their passport as a proof of nationality. As I mentioned before, again, the educational qualification should be a completed undergraduate degree. Now, for the individual, you cannot be a shareholder in a biotech company that is under 5 years old. Otherwise, you'll have to apply through that company. Generally, single member teams are discouraged. So if you're an individual, please make sure that you have team members with complementary skill sets. Now, as an individual, you will need lab support if your technology requires it, or you will need support from an incubator. Like I said, it's a big mandate that you should have selected an incubator in which you will execute your project. And for that, you need to upload and acquire and upload a letter of intent from the incubator. The letter of intent will basically state that if you are a successful recipient of the grant, that the incubator will provide you with all the support that is required. Now, if you're in academia, this is very critical for you. So you could be a PhD student, a postdoc, or a faculty. And if you choose to apply through this grant, you have to provide BIRAC with a no objection certificate. This no objection certificate will allow you to execute this project, devote your time to this project, make sure that the IP that you're generating through this project will eventually, it could be licensed back to your company. This NOC will basically cover different aspects, and it gives you a permission to basically apply for this grant. Now, please remember that as a faculty, we understand that you have academic duties that will take a majority of your time, but you can, this grant allows you to hire manpower, and through that, you can basically have your team members execute the project under your supervision, and of course they'll be associated with an incubator. And so this is quite possible if you're a faculty as well. Now, if you're privately employed, you will have to provide a declaration that upon successful receipt of the grant, that you will quit your current employment and devote yourself full time to executing your big project. Now, if you're a company, the age of the company is very critical. From the call date, your company should not be more than 5 years old. Also, if you, the PI who's applying on behalf of the company should hold shares in the company. Now, the minimal amount of shares that are required are not specified by BIRAC, but this has been put in place so that the PIs are associated with the project and successfully execute it, and do not quit in the middle if they're just an employee of the company. Also, you cannot be stakeholders in other like mature biotech companies or ineligible biotech companies. Also, if you're applying as a company, you'll have to provide more documents because we will seek proof of different company financials, such as memorandums of association, articles of association, and other documents as well. Now, this is a very competitive grant, and of course, the evaluation also is very exhaustive. So there are basically 4 stages of evaluation. At the initial stage, now the different stages of these evaluation are entrusted upon different big partners. Now, at the PSC stage, which is the preliminary screening committee, at this stage, so you apply online for this grant. These online applications are then screened for their eligibility. What we look at is whether you meet the educational qualifications that are required, whether if you're applying as a company, whether you meet the age criteria that I mentioned. Have you provided supporting documents for that are required as part of this grant? Are you a scheme fit? Also, a plagiarism declaration is a non-plagiarism declaration is sought from the applicants at this stage. Also, we look to see if there is sufficient content in your proposal for it to be evaluated in the next stages. Now, once the PSC, this takes around a month to complete. Once this is completed, the proposals are thematically categorized, and then they are assigned to different big partners. Now, as a big partner, when you're assigned a proposal, what you're going to do next is take it to the online review process. Now, here, domain experts are going to look at each proposal and score it based on its technical sufficiency, novelty, market potential, technical feasibility, and so on. And they're also going to, of course, look at the preliminary data that's been provided and the team strength and so on. Now, based on this score, certain cutoffs are set for each theme. And if you've made that cutoff, if the total score that you've received makes the cutoff, then you move on to the next round. The next round is the first face-to-face presentation round. This is before a technical expert panel, hence it's also called the TEP round. Now, this again is thematic. Nowadays, because it is in virtual mode, it is normally an 8-minute recorded presentation that is played for the panel, followed by about 12 minutes of Q&A. And the whole process is over by 20 to 30 minutes. This is the first, this is the only forum that you have to actually in person defend your proposal and and give answers to any clarifications that are sought by the technical experts in the field. Again, based on certain criteria, you're given scores, and these scores based on cutoffs set for each theme, again, qualify you to the final round, which is a consideration by the expert selection committee. Now, the expert selection committee normally consists of the chairs and the co-chairs of each technical expert panel from the previous round. And they, again, depending on different criteria, such as the number of funds available, the quality of proposals, and so on, they set a cutoff again. And based on it, the final decision of the final grantees are made, and the decision is communicated to the applicant. Now, at every stage, whether you make it to the next round or not, you will receive feedback, and that is one of the roles of the big partner. They will communicate that feedback and discuss that feedback with you, so that if you choose to apply a second time, you know exactly what to address. Once you are successful, so this entire evaluation process in the current times it takes around 6 to 8 months. And once you have, until you are a successful grantee, then the big partner takes over the due diligence process and releases funds in 3 tranches based on your milestones. Now, please remember that the evaluators are basically a BIRAC approved pool of domain experts, investors, business leaders, IP experts. This is purposefully kept varied so that your proposal can be looked at from every angle, and its commercial potential can be judged by not only the technical experts, but the business leaders as well. The scoring again is based on BIRAC approved criteria, and I will discuss some of those parameters in the next slide. And then a geometric mean of all of the scores are taken. And like I mentioned before, some cutoff decisions again are made by experts selected by BIRAC. And at every stage, you receive feedback for your proposal to improve it for future submissions. Now, some of the evaluation parameters that are taken into account at every stage. The most weightage, of course, is given to the technical viability of your project. So the technical strength of your project should come out very clearly. Now, we understand that many of you are trying to protect your IP and cannot reveal some details if you're in the process of filing a patent and so on. In that case, please reveal as much as you're comfortable revealing, but make sure that there is enough information there for first the online reviewer and next the technical expert panel to understand what your solution exactly is. Now, equal weightage is given to the unmet need that you've identified. Please make sure that it's a real need. And what solution are you offering that is different from what is already there? So your value proposition, your differentiation from existing market players. These are very key things that have to come out both in your written proposals and your presentations. Again, not to be taken lightly is the team strength. So ideally, a team with complementary skill sets amongst the team members is viewed, of course, the expertise of the team. Now, if you bolster further the strength of your team members with some mentors that are domain experts that can help you devise either the technical part or the business part of your proposal in a better way, then that will work in your favor. The business perspective, now many academics, for those academics in the audience who are thinking of applying for this grant, we understand that the business perspective is often lacking in such proposals because it's very tech heavy and tech is the focus. But please remember that eventually this grant is being given to you so that you can launch a successful venture with the tech that you're developing using this grant. And so there has to be some amount of clarity about the market potential and the certain aspects of your business, such as what is your go-to-market strategy going to be? Have you identified the correct customers, the channel partners, and so on? And this is where the role of the big partner and your big associate partners come in, because we can with the help of experts, we can help solidify some of these business aspects and put you on solid grounds so that your proposal looks sound from the business side of things. Now, everybody would like to win this grant, but let me tell you that it is extremely competitive, and by the online review stage, almost we've lost 1/4 of the applicants. And so in order to make it through every stage of evaluation, you have to start first with the written grant. That has to be strong so that you can get over the online review stage and move on to actually present your idea before the panel. Now, to do that, of course, you have to have a well-written proposal for which you have to lay some groundwork. So you have to do some work in figuring out a compelling problem statement. You have to do some end user mapping, figure out who exactly your customers are, who you're targeting, talk to them, get their feedback, and understand what their actual needs are. Of course, as I mentioned before, the technology details have to be there and have to be quite thorough, because some of the people looking at your proposal are technical experts and they will understand what you're doing. And if you provide with a wishy-washy technical section, that will go against you. The other very important thing is capturing the competitive landscape. The problem that you are trying to solve will already have several people in the field trying to solve the same problem, some of whom might be established market competitors. Now you have to capture this successfully so that you can show by which parameters your solution will be a market disruptor or will be able to beat out some of your competition in the market, give you the edge, the competitive edge. Now, this is quite a long grant with several sections, and there are some critical documents that are sought from you as an applicant, and you should make sure that you provide all of these. For instance, a concept note. This is basically at a glance, in a very brief, what is your technology about? What unmet need are you choosing to solve? How are you going to solve it? And what gives you edge over your competitors, all in one short document. Next is the novelty note. Again, this is meant to capture the competitive landscape. And so if you look up, even on the internet, if you're not familiar, there's a tabular way of representing this, and most of our successful applicants capture their competition very carefully, and that gives the reviewers confidence that they know what's out there and they can develop their tech in order to beat those existing players. Of course, a slide deck often is very useful, a well-prepared slide deck. And the other thing is the roadmap. So it's your solution is your technology that you're developing is not only for the 18 months, but you'll have to take it forward. You'll have to take it to market. And so a kind of overview of where you're going with the tech in terms of commercialization will ensure that the reviewers have confidence in your team and in your proposal. Also, data supporting your claims. So with any innovation, especially at its early stages, often we have proposals that are still at the ideation stage. There you need some data to bolster the claims that you're making about your technique, because of course you will think that yours is the best solution out there. So there are different kinds of data that you can provide. First of all, for the unmet need, you will be providing some general data that will support why the unmet need that you're servicing is so critical. And so you'll have general statistics and so on there. Then comes to the technical data part. Now, if you have done some amount of work on your prototype or on your technology, you will have some preliminary data, and you should present this before both in your written proposal as well as in your technical presentation. If you filed any patents, please make sure you mention them as well. Next is the expertise of your team and mentors. Please onboard as many mentors as you can that can help you successfully execute the project, and highlight successfully the expertise that you and your team members bring that will help execute the project within the 18 months. Now, preparation for big and will ensure your success. So please don't wait till the last minute to write this grant. Think out the different aspects. Please look at, or if you go to the BIRAC Big web page, you'll already have a pro forma of the grant. Please look at the different sections. First of all, set out an outline. Your title should be effective. For those of us in academia, often the titles get a bit too long and a bit too convoluted. Make sure that the title is effective enough where in a small amount of time, just by reading your title, a person knows what technology you're developing. You should source your statistics from reliable sources and cite them within the body of the text. Also, do some market research or prior art search if you can, just to see if you have freedom to operate in certain domains, what previous work has been done, so it's basically you're trying to gauge the IP generating potential of your proposal, which is very key for this grant. Coming to the body of the grant, now I already mentioned the key matrices of evaluation that you should cover. These are the novelty, the value proposition, the commercialization aspects. So all of those should be adequately addressed in the body of the written proposal. Please, there are a lot of documents that you have to upload, so please take some time preparing those effectively. And always ask for feedback and help. We as big partners are there to help you through your presentations and through your written proposals. So reach out to us and we will get you the help that you need to write a better proposal. Again, like I mentioned before, provide any data that you might have for your proof of principle or any preliminary work that you've done in a small scale. If you have a crude prototype that you've designed yourself, please, so any visual representation that kind of gives people an idea of what you're developing, and support all your key claims. So please do not try to not make unsupported claims within the body of your proposal. Try to support them. If you haven't done the work, then look at other publications and other data that can kind of support that that it is feasible to do what you're proposing. And as I've already mentioned, any patents, any papers, anything that shows the technical feasibility of the work that you're proposing, as well as shows your expertise in certain areas, should be included. So these here are the 8 things that I have listed here are basically what you will need to fill when you're filling this grant. So the proposal summary, this, as I said, together with the concept note, in one glance gives the reviewer an overview of what you're proposing. Again, the novelty and competition, we've discussed this already. Now, objectives and milestones, these are also very key, because if you have a good understanding of what it requires to take the innovation to the market, your objectives and milestones will be set accordingly, because within the 18 months, you're trying to get it as close to the market as possible to at least, so to establish your proof of concept, develop your prototype, your objectives and milestones should be laid out very clearly and very thoroughly. Also, the feasibility and challenges here with every theme and with every project, you will anticipate some challenges. What this grant requires you to do is to have plan Bs for everything. So should the first approach fail, always they will ask you for alternate strategies, and that is part of the grant as well. So for every objective, you have to provide an alternative strategy as well. Then for the go-to-market strategy, again, how are you planning to take your product to the market? Have you spoken to users? Is there demand for what you're developing? All of this with a proper business advisor and with a big partner, you can figure these things out. They also ask you to suggest what the TRL level of your innovation is. And here, many of the applicants start guessing. So it is a difficult thing to navigate to determine the correct TRL for your innovation, but you can always be in the right ballpark. Like we said, this is an early stage grant. So if you're beyond a certain stage of development, then this is not the grant for you, and we can help you figure that out. And of course, the budget, which should be properly justified, and a crisp slide deck, like I mentioned before. Sorry, my apologies. This is one of those, so for most of you in academia, you're familiar with the different heads under which you allocate your budget. Now, the same goes for this grant. One unique thing is here you can hire manpower. So if you are a faculty who cannot give 100% of the project, you can always hire skilled manpower to execute the project for you. Again, there are certain caps to how much you can spend under the different heads. Please remember that for equipment, you are going to be associated with an incubator, and if it's a BioNest supported incubator, it will already be well equipped for your needs. And so you can only budget for equipment for which you can show that it's either not present in your incubator or you need it in such frequency that it makes more sense for you to have it. So equipment is something that will require some discussion. Again, consumables, contingency, these are certainly flexible heads where you can put some money and move it around within that head. Outsourcing, for a lot of you, a lot of the fabrication, etc., you might want to outsource. So that they give you about 30% of the project cost that can be allocated to that. Since you're going to be associated with an incubation center, you will have to pay charges, and that can be budgeted here as well. And like I mentioned before, you can leverage an incubator to create success as part of this grant. So you should select an appropriate incubator for yourself. Also for IP and travel, you can allocate some amount of money as well. Now, this clause was included very recently. So this is a royalty payment. So you have to, once you start commercialization and revenue generation, you'll have to pay 5% royalty on net sales. And if you're also transferring your technology and licensing it out, you have to pay back 5% royalty to BIRAC till the grant amount is met. Now, just a few things to keep in mind. So please start your application process early. Like I mentioned before, this is a very involved application, and so with several sections. And so please do not wait till the last minute. Start early, get your early drafts looked at so you can have the best possibly written grant application. Get the necessary letters in time. So I mentioned some of these, the NOC, the incubation, LOI, all of these take some time to generate and upload. Please, if your passport has expired or you do not have or you have not applied for a passport, please make sure you show some proof of application and provide an Aadhaar card as a placeholder. So your big partner will get back to you for any documentation that is missing from your application, and they will ask you to provide it. Again, preliminary data, please provide some to back up your claims, any validation that you might have done, and anything that supports the technical feasibility of your project. You're allowed to upload some supporting documents. So anything that you think will bolster or strengthen your application, please upload those as well. Highlight your team. If you do not have a team, get some co-founders or team members that complement your skill set. Please try to submit at least a week in advance. because towards the end, the portal sees a lot of traffic and that causes unnecessary hiccups and your application might not go through. And please make sure that you submit and don't assume that it's been submitted until you receive an email confirmation of the same, which is why it's best not to wait till the last day. Please remember that the deadline is 5:30 on the last day and not midnight. So for those of you who are planning to apply this time, it's going to be 5:30 p.m. on the 15th of February. For any questions, we would be glad if you select us as your big partner. And if you have any questions regarding this or other grants, please write to us at sign_big@signiitb.org. My colleague Pranita and I, we will do our best to help you out with your big application as well as any other queries that you might have. With that, I will pause this presentation and we'll move over to some interaction next. Thank you. Before we open the session to general question and answers, I would like to call upon Partha. We can have a little bit of insights from him on how to write a successful grant. Now, I've introduced Partha. I'll just also mention his expertise as a big reviewer. He reviews online. He's an online reviewer for almost every cycle, and he has considerable experience doing that. And so, Partha, I would like you to give our audience today 3 key points that you think makes an impact, say, for you as a big reviewer when you look at an application, the 3 key points that make an impact at you and push you towards scoring it favorably.
Yeah. Thank you, Pratati, and good afternoon, everyone. The things I would consider are the following, or that make an impact. If the title is very clear, I would tend to view that application more favorably. And academicians typically commit this crime of having long titles. I would say it is a crime. You are not writing a research paper. Please remember that this is a proposal for a grant which has a business angle to the whole thing. So your title should be pretty crisp. And if your title is clear, then I know, my interest in evaluating the application goes up substantially. Second thing is that when you are backing up your proposals, most of you write very few sentences and expect the reviewer to fill the gaps that may be there. It puts off. Or some people, startups, they end up posting only the picture of their prototype or the proof of model. It doesn't help. So when you're backing up your claims, be very, very concise and specific. Pictures are good, but you need to support the whole thing with some write-up on the solution. Bring out the innovation, the value of your innovation in a clear fashion. Most of the time, it is left to the reviewer to guess the value of the innovation. Right. We are put off. We don't have time. We end up reviewing 20, 25 applications in one cycle in a given domain. And we don't have the luxury of time to second guess. Okay. So bring out that value. That is very, very important. And team is very, very important. Team strength. We attach a lot of importance to team strength. So have people from different backgrounds in your team. That is very critical. And I give a lot of weightage to that also. That doesn't mean that you need to bring the entire faculty of IIT Madras or IIT Bombay onto your team. right? Few critical members, 4, 5 of them, each one looking into a different domain of the business. That is an ideal situation to have, and try to be as close to ideal as is possible. And of course, the final thing will be the business. The market data is very, very important. Wherever you can access the market data, capture it and show it to them. The reviewer looks to the following thing when he is evaluating the business impact. Does the startup know what they are getting into? That is one critical thing that we usually look as reviewers. Does the startup know what they are getting into? Do they know the upside? Do they know the downside? And do they have the capability, if they run into trouble, to come out of the trouble? So this is something which you need to capture in your application. Yeah, that's about it. Prakriti.
Thank you, Partha.
And just a minute. Sometimes what happens is that there are applications we receive which does not have any kind of scheme fit. And I saw one of the questions that has been posted here. Right, he wants to have a paperless office. And how does it fit under BIG? Paperless office in a hospital environment. Just because it is a hospital environment doesn't qualify for a BIG. Maybe MeitY will be the right grant or right place to approach. So, and there are certain applications which are purely science-based. They are science projects. And this we come across from faculty. So the right place to go will be PACE. So this is how I would go about reviewing an application.
So this is a critical thing, just following up on what Partha just pointed out. Please, for the academics in the audience, please remember that this grant is not a research grant. It is not for exploratory research. If you have developed something that has commercialization potential and you would like to take it forward, for instance, if you're a PhD student and some work during your PhD or your postdoc, some work as part of your postdoc, you want to take it forward towards a commercial product, then only is this grant going to be useful, because 18 months is not enough time for you to do any, to convincingly do any kind of exploration into this. And as Partha pointed out, there are other grants available such as SPACE, etc., where you can, which you can also avail as an academic. So I just thought I'd point that out. Partha, the second thing that I wanted to ask is, because we have here in the audience a lot of people from an academic background, how do they go about solidifying the business perspective of their proposal? Because this often comes off as weak and often, like you brought out a very important point, which is understanding the domain in which you're launching or planning to launch your technology or product. A thorough understanding of the domain is very critical. But now, how do you look at your look at the commercial potential of your technology? Who do you seek help from, and so on? Can you just help a little bit guiding us?
If you want to have market data, online you can get, howsoever dated it could be, there is some data that you can access. Say, for example, you want to develop a fetal health monitor. Already there are existing players and they are selling certain units to different institutions, right? You know their price points also. So first, knowing your competitors and at what price points, what are the potential parameters on which they are trying to differentiate themselves, and the parameters on which you want to differentiate yourself from the rest of the competition. These are some of the things that are available in the public domain, and you will be able to get it very easily. But the target customer, identifying the target audience is very, very critical. And that is where most of the startups commit a mistake. They think, say, for example, I am selling a medical equipment. Hospital is a customer, they think. No, this medical equipment will be used by a doctor of a given specialty. So he becomes your customer and not the hospital. Hospital at best is a stakeholder. We should be clear in this. So, I mean, the ideal definition of a customer is that he or she is a human being. Hospital is not a human being. Lab is not a human being. This is a serious mistake which people commit, and I request all of the startups to not repeat this mistake, having attended this program.
Also, Partha, when we look at the feedback that many of these applications receive from the online reviewers, novelty and differentiation are two criteria that many of them lose out on.
Yeah.
Can you, like, as a reviewer, how would you ideally want the novelty and the differentiation? How should it be represented for you to be convinced that it is a novel product that is worth funding?
See, novelty arises out of what? One, a design. Two, out of the process or the method, right? If you have anything different in these things or newness in this, novelty is what? Newness. If you have newness in this thing, capture it under novelty, no? Or a different way of solving the same problem with lesser costs or in lesser number of steps or whatever it could be.
Yeah, so okay, so summarizing what Partha just pointed out, for you to show your innovation as being truly novel, or you first have to, of course, as he pointed out correctly, figure out what your competition is, what parameters your innovation is better than them. If you have patents, that kind of shows that you've already done prior art searches, you already know what is unique about your innovation. So a patent filed or in the process of filing should be clearly mentioned here to highlight that, because Partha, I'm sure you'll agree that that is viewed upon favorably by the reviewer, right?
Yep.
The other thing is data. We get a lot of questions regarding data because this is an ideation to proof of concept stage grant. So many of these ideas are, there is not much work done to back them up, and they lose out on winning this grant. And so what kind of data will convince a reviewer that this is technically feasible and should be supported?
Is there a market for such an innovation? That data point you need to capture, no? And to do a business profitably. A lot of data is available online. If we care, if we do proper research, we can get enough data points online itself. We don't have to buy market research reports and stuff like that. There is enough data that is available, even if it is dated 2-3 years old, nothing, the heavens are not going to fall. You can still use that data point.
Thanks, Partha. Just one last question. What are some of the common mistakes that you'd advise our audience to avoid when writing this grant?
Clarity. The way you write clearly tells the reviewer whether you're clear in your mind or not. If you are not clear in your mind, then that gets reflected in the way you write the proposal. So after writing it, look at it as an objective viewer, go through it, and if it needs some changes, please change it. There are certain proposals the very title and the way it is written, no, attracts us or makes us give more marks to those proposals. It is because the way the entire innovation is presented, both in writing and in through data and other ways. So this is what attracts us.
So, Partha, we've covered now the written part of the presentation. When presenting in front of the technical expert panel, what should applicants keep in mind? Because that's a very short time within which they have to defend their idea and at the same time present the business perspective and so on. So a couple of pointers there, if you could provide.
Yeah, people who are in the healthcare domain, if you are collaborating with the doctor, have the doctor in your TEP panel, in your TEP presentation. There are certain medical aspects which the doctor can defend better than you, and that gives an edge. In fact, there was this IIT Madras based startup which was working on epilepsy, and the person supporting the startup was the president of Indian Association of Neurologists. And nobody can, and he's an epileptologist by practice. Nobody knows epilepsy better than that person, not even the panel members. So you have an edge. There was this oncology, AIML based picking up of lung tumors and all that. And there was an oncologist from Tata Memorial, right? She could sway the committee. So that is one sure shot way of winning the grant. One sure shot way of winning the grant. Okay, I mean, you don't have the support of the doctor, then the best approach is to, make them visualize that it is a simple thing, it can be executed, and there is money to be made. In my mind's eye, I should be able to to view this entire proposal in a positive way. There should not be too many moving parts in the entire business proposal. Too many moving parts means that there will be a lot of things that can go wrong. You don't have that kind of expertise, and you don't have that kind of money to do this. The third one is that don't show the market as very big. The market could be big. As a startup, you have access to only that much amount of money. So being a niche player is the way forward, is the way to go. Then even the panel members understand, okay, this guy knows his business. Don't think that being a niche player is to your disadvantage. It is the best way to succeed in the startup ecosystem.
Thank you, Partha. Just summarizing what we just discussed, for those of you who are writing the proposal, please make sure that your title is conveying in a short, have a short, concise title that conveys exactly what your innovation is. Have clarity when writing your proposal, have all the supporting documents, provide any and every data that you have, support the novelty and differentiation of your product. When presenting before the panel, make sure that your domain appropriate mentor is there to support you. That could also help. Having such mentors on team can also help you with the online processes, or online review process as well. Please have your draft, initial drafts be looked at. For those of you who are academics, you're familiar with how many rounds of drafting paper takes before it can be in a publication ready state. The same for any for this proposal as well. The more you have it reviewed, the more help you seek on it, the better written it will be. Thank you, Partha. And
I'm
now,
open to questions from the audience.
yes. So if anybody has any specific question for Partha, for the SignBig team, for all of our associate and ecosystem partners here, please raise your hands and we'll allow you to ask the question live.
Hi, Pratiti. So we have in chat box one question. I think I would like to take that. Is it mandatory to associate with BIG partner and an incubator when I'm a regular employee at a research institute, which itself can provide all the necessary facilities to carry out the proposed work? So yes, it is absolutely necessary to associate with BIG partner, because PIRAC themselves do not carry out the review process and all, or monitor the progress of the grantees. They have assigned this duty to the selected BIG partners. There are 8 BIG partners. Sign is one of them. So you have to associate or apply through BIG partners. You can choose any incubator associated with any incubator associated with Bionest, or any incubator in India, which is equipped with all the facilities to support your work under BIG. It is absolutely necessary to carry out your work at incubator. Though if you are working at research institute, part of the work you can carry out in your at institute level. However, significant amount of work needs to be done by associating yourself with incubator. And this incubator can also be BIG partners as well.
Thank you, Pranita. I hope that answered your question, whoever asked this question. Shubham, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello. Yes, sir, I have a question for Pratha, sir. You just mentioned that if you are a healthcare startup, like we are targeting infectious disease patient. So, the target, your customer should not be the hospitals and the humans. So our user are the patients, but the hospital must take our product and then installing their facility.
Who is
So
the influencer here, sir? Without the doctor, can the patient directly access the device?
yes, but they actually go to the hospital, and there our
In the hospital, who treats the patient?
sorry, can you please repeat, sir?
In the hospital, who treats the patient?
Doctors.
Yeah, so unless the doctor is convinced, he is not going to recommend it to the patient. No?
Yes, but we have doctors in our team.
The doctor, I mean, the hospital is a channel, is a stakeholder.
Yes.
But not the primary customer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
The patient in this case, if I may use this word, is a consumer. The customer is the doctor. The hospital is the channel.
Okay. Right. Okay, understand. Yes. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you, Shubham. If anybody else would like to ask a question live, please raise your hand and we'll allow you to unmute yourself and ask the question.
There was a question from Ramachandra Physiotherapy Unit. Madam, your device qualifies for big grant. Your innovation qualifies for big grant. I don't know. Just let me. Ponmadi, your device, biofeedback device qualifies for BIG grant.
There's a question from Kavya. Hi, I'm a postgraduate in Srihar, planning to do animal research. Am I eligible for applying? We'll need a little bit more details, Kavya, for that. Please contact us and we'll be happy to discuss with you.
Any other questions?
I think there is a question in the chat box. I just answered there. Is there any payment for the support, sign support? So I just want to make it clear that no, there is no need of payment. As a BIG partner, it's our responsibility to provide you support while you write your application. If your application gets selected for the review or even presentation round, we'll be happy to mentor you. There's no need of payment or anything.
There's another thing on the chat box about the concept note and the novelty note. I'll just quickly repeat those two things. So the concept note and the proposal summary basically are short documents where you summarize your entire technology. So if you're an academic, you're familiar with abstracts of papers, right? So in the concept note, basically you'll cover the unmet need that you're addressing, the existing solutions, how your solution is different, and provide a little bit of technical details for somebody to understand what exactly you're proposing. The novelty note, on the other hand, will capture the why is your solution novel? So then you have to look at the competition, right? The competitive players in the market, what parameters you're gauging them by, how your innovation is standing apart from them. That is what you should provide in the novelty note. Normally it is in tabular form, and you can look at this. You can find any number of examples of what this looks like. It's basically a competitive table that you can just Google and find, and it'll have parameters on one hand, your competition and your company name if you have one on the other, and different parameters by which how are you faring on those parameters when compared to your competition. Okay, I hope that answers.
Novelty is nothing, go by the English meaning. Novelty is nothing but newness. What is new? In what new way you are addressing the pain point of the customer?
So like I've pointed out also before, to support your novelty, if you already have in the process of applying a patent or have a granted patent, please kindly mention that in the proposal as well. Now, as I mentioned before, we have a host of big associate partners who are also incubators, as well as our ecosystem partners and incubators. I request all of the representatives to please post your contact information in the chat, so that if anybody in the audience wants to get in touch with you to ask you questions further and see what help they can leverage from you, they know who to contact. So I request each representative to kindly do that. So we're open.
We have another 18 more minutes. We are open to, we are open to some more questions, answering some more questions.
We request for those of you who have questions to please ask it live. Please raise your hands and we will allow you.
There is a question, can neuroscience-based ventures apply? Yeah, nothing prevents them from applying.
Yes, and for details, for instance, the technology readiness level, etc., we might need to have an offline conversation. So you can either approach us or any of the big associate partners and discuss your solution with them. If you want to protect, as I mentioned earlier, you have a novel innovation whose details you want to protect, you can share what you're comfortable with, just enough for us to understand what it is that you're proposing and whether you're fit for this granting scheme. If you have any questions for our participating incubators here today, please raise your hands and ask a question to them as well. I see Krishna Babu Chilukuri has raised his hand. Please unmute yourself and ask the question.
Dear Madam.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
I'm a pharmacy graduate applying for diabetic foot ulcer cure, which is very necessary globally. And I was stuck up in the application regarding the analysis test, madam. I need some mentoring on this Some instruments are available in some incubator center and some other center. And I have to get test by test through all these analytical instruments. And some budget is also to be allotted. I do not know how much that costs were on. And I need mentoring regarding this to fill the application. So can I get from you big partners for guidance for this analytical test for my sample, madam?
Yes, Dr. Chilukuri, what you can do is, depending upon your location and what your samples are, you can look at, so all of our associate partners and our ecosystem partners have posted their information. The first step would be to go to their website and see all of them will have different rate charts and a list of equipment and lab facilities that are available with them. If that information is not sufficient for you, you can of course contact them personally and figure out where to get the analytical sample assessment that you require, where you can get that facility.
Mr. Krishna Babu, where are you placed?
Sir, I am from Guntur, Andhra Pradesh.
You
I-
can access Naipur, Hyderabad.
Oh, yes, sir, I know. Neighbor.
Naipur,
sir,
Hyderabad, they have those facilities.
Yes, sir. Hyderabad, from University of Hyderabad, he can come.
Yeah, University of Hyderabad is there.
So
Atal
today-
Incubation Center, CCMB is there.
Yes,
So
yes, sir.
There are a
Today-
lot of places where you can get your problem solved.
So today we have Mr. Kushwant Kumar from Aspire Bionest Hyderabad.
I'm
can-
sorry, Kushwant, I forgot that you were there.
No, no problem, sir.
Yeah, so please, he's posted his information. You can write to him directly. And also remember that for this particular grant, you can outsource some of this analysis as well. So if you can just locate an analysis lab that can do it for you, you can budget that, allocate that within your budget as well, under outsourcing. If anybody else has a question, please raise your hand. I'll just take this question. Is any of the incubator in the forum access for the extraction of soy protein isolate and soy protein concentrate process? Okay, these kind of questions you can take offline and you can contact. Like I said, all the information is there. And
I think Pratati, we can also inform the attendee here who is asking this question is that, of course, if not incubator, but for example, IIT Bombay, where we are located, such institute can provide you support in terms of infrastructure or instruments for this. So you can definitely approach incubators. You can write to them, or you can also write to us. We can put you in touch with the relevant people for doing this.
Pranita, there's another question, if you could take that as well, whether a staff from academic institute can apply for the grant if they would like to work on a project part-time.
Staff from any academic institute can definitely apply for this grant. However, you need NOC for the same. Part-time, you cannot say that it is a part-time something, but as I mentioned, you need NOC from your institute to work on this project parallelly while you do your duties at your institute. And you will be able to hire the employees or the team members with the funds provided under human resource or manpower head. So with all of that, if you are able to complete the milestones which you have provided for the BIG, then of course you can apply here, but don't mention it is as a part-time. Only thing is that what BIG partner or the BIRAC wants you to complete the milestones or the work which you have committed under BIG, which can be possible with the relevant team members.
Pranita, there's one more question that I'd like to pose to you. For a cell culture based research that is granted big based on pilot data, would equipment and space be provided for further research? So if I understand the question correctly from Nandini, it's what are the follow-on funds that can follow big? Nandini, you can ask your question live as well if I did not get that correctly. The second part of the question is, can a postdoc apply? How will it affect full-time employment?
Postdocs can apply. There is no bar on that. And it doesn't, as long as it dovetails with the work which you're currently carrying out, I don't see any conflict.
Yes,
Yes, yes. Postdoc can definitely apply. Again,
Apply.
you need a NOC from your institute that you can apply on this project. However, you also have to check for the IP component with your institute. If this works is different than what you are doing as a postdoc, then there's no issue. But if you're doing extension of something which you're doing with with your institute, then you also have to check for the IP, intellectual property, which will be generated through BIG project. How that that property lies with whom, that intellectual property will lies with whom. All that kind of a clarity you should sort with your institute. Follow on BIG, there are grants like SIBRI, which is for again SIBRI or BIPP, again for the registered startups. As a SIBRI, SIBRI is basically also early proof of stage till validation. You can apply for that. BIPP is basically for the validation of your prototype technology which you have developed with earlier grants. Again, there is a matching contribution which you have to get for BIPP. So there are various grants, and there is a seed fund which is also available with the incubator. That seed fund also can come from BIRAC as well, which is with incubator. You can apply to incubator when there is a call open for seed fund related calls, as well as there is a LEAF fund which is for commercialization and scale up, which is also provided. So based on your stage, you can apply for such grants.
Nandini, may I know where are you working currently as a postdoc?
So I'm a postdoc in IIT Bombay only.
Oh,
Yeah.
you just walk across to CSRE building and you can meet both of them,
Okay.
Dr. Pranita and Dr. Bratati.
Okay. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
because each institution, they have different take on this IP and other things.
Okay.
ICAR views it differently. IITs view it differently. CCMB and others, they view it differently. University of Hyderabad must be viewing it differently. So you need to be very, it is institution specific.
for the sake of a photograph, I request all panelists to kindly turn on your
Bratati,
videos.
you know that I have a,
Yeah, I understand, Partha. At least if the other incubators, the representatives could turn on their video, we'll just take a quick screenshot. Thank you, Priya. Thank you, Hardip. Ankita, if you're there, Dr. Sunita, Mr. Kushwant.
Ankita.
So Dashath, please let us know when you've taken the picture so we can continue with the Q&A session.
Thanks, Pratati.
Thank you. So again, there's a question in the Q&A box. Does industrial biotechnology theme include scaling up of flask scale production system demonstrated or published of plant-based compounds to bioreactor scale? Does it fit into the big grant? Pranita, can you take this, please?
Yeah. So yes, of course, you can apply for BIG. However, again, before it does fit into the BIG, but we would like to see with flask scale production system, you can tell them with the preliminary result which you have got from this, and whether it has a potential to reach scale up, and what kind of a benefit advantages there are there. Of course, it fits BIG, but we would like to discuss with you more. So if you could also write to us, then probably we'll be able to provide more inputs on this. But it does fit into the BIG. You're applicable. You're eligible to apply for BIG.
Any more questions, please?
So I just want to mention one thing here is there were a lot of questions in the chat box, related whether I am eligible for this. So we have BIG associate partners here, we have incubators here, which are associated, probably they're from your region. So they all have put their contact details here. You can please write to them or get in touch with them. When you want to apply for BIG grant, you need BIG partner incubator, as Pratati earlier mentioned. So you can incubate with these incubators, you can apply through SIGN as a BIG partner. If there are any specific questions for BIG partner or BIG related application, you can get in touch with these incubators or even write to us. These incubator representatives will also help you to connect you with us as well. So do reach out to all of us.
And in continuation with Pranita just said, we going forward will also have some informal Q&A sessions, and there you can ask us some of these individual questions. Of course, you can always reach us and we can have a discussion with you over your individual questions. But if there is any queries that might arise while you're applying as to how to fill a section, whether you're whether you're approaching it in the right manner, we'll have these informal Q&A sessions that will be open to participants, and you can come in, get your question clarified and leave if you don't want to stay till the end of the session. Just wanted to point that out. Okay, I think there are no more questions either in the Q&A
No,
box.
I mean, you have 4 minutes.
Yes, Partha, do you want to have some concluding comments?
No, I mean, not from my side. I mean, I would like the participants to ask us questions. Whatever we had to share, we have shared. If there are any more, don't feel shy, be open.
Hi, Rupali, I see your hand raised. Do you want to ask a question live?
Yes, thank you. Dr. Pratati, I was just curious, if we want to file for IP, should we then do it before we do the grant? Because would our IP be denied because we've actually, we made it public by applying for the grant with it?
You can always apply for a provisional patent and getting like that will give you a year's time during which you're applying. At least it'll protect your idea and you can reveal maybe a bit more in your application that will help the reviewers to gauge your technology better. And it's not a bad idea to protect your idea by filing a provisional before you apply for this grant. Pranita, anything you have to say on this?
I'll just what Pradati has said, you can do that. That's one way of doing it. In case at all, if let's say because of something you are not able to find any provisional as well, then you can reveal the information, a broad level information. You may would like to limit the kind of information you would like to disclose in such meetings. As I understand that because of that, your novelty or priority can be issue when you are filing a patent. So you can reveal basic information which is needed to which is actually required to answer the questions from the panel members. You can also mention while answering as well. Sometimes it happens that panel members would like to know more, but you can always mention that because of confidentiality, or because you would like to file a patent, you would like to restrict revealing this information. That is one way of going ahead.
As a reviewer, if you have an IP or if you have applied for IP, I would view the application very favorably.
Yes.
The other thing that I would like to assure you, for whatever it means, is that all of the technical expert panel, the online reviewers, us big partners, we all sign non-disclosure agreements. So your data is safe with us, but like Pranita pointed out, please reveal only what you're comfortable with. You can often show some data with things marked out or not revealed as to what the molecule is, or what the, you can hide critical information and yet tell people what you've done.
But from a patent filing perspective, would if we apply for the grant first and then file the patent, would that be grounds for dismissal?
No, there is nothing, no conflict at all.
Pranita already pointed out that you won't reveal any information that might be, you're worried whether it will be considered prior art.
Yeah.
I think don't reveal anything critical that you're wanting to protect.
Okay. Fine. Thank you so much.
One last question, time for one last question.
My doubt is,
Yep.
why don't you allow for a provisional patent instead of telling it's not to be disclosed or something like that? You should allow a provisional patent. Like
It is
you are
allowed.
allowing
It is allowed. You're allowed to file a provisional patent before you write your grant, and you can give the application number in your written grant.
Okay, if what I wanted to mention is that if you can file provisional, you can file complete specification as well for your patent or intellectual property. What I meant is that if at all because of anything you are not able to file anything when you are applying for BIG because of any reason, then going ahead, you may would like to reveal information which will not harm filing patent. That is it. You can file provisional, you can file complete specification before applying for the BIG grant.
I hope that was clear, that there is no restriction on you filing one before you apply. Okay, I think if there are no more questions, I think it's time to close the session. I would like to thank our sign team here who made this holding this smoothly possible. Thank you, Dashrath and team. Thank you, Pranita. Thank you, Partha, for joining in for your precious time and answering questions. I would, of course, like to thank all our participating big associate partners and ecosystem partners who took time off their schedule and who readily agreed to have this session with us. Hope our audience benefited from your presence here, and thank you so much for your continued association with us. For the participants who are here, again, we hope to continue seeing you around. We hope you'll reach out to us as a big partner and seek our help for your application. We wish you all the best if you're a potential applicant for this cycle or the next few cycles. So with that, thanks towards all. I draw this session to a close. Thank you very much.